What if Anakin brought Luke and Leia to Mustafar? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Anakin Skywalker stands over the body of Emperor Palpatine on Mustafar. His newborn twins cry in the background. His lightsaber is still ignited, and everything that was supposed to happen has just been shattered. This is the moment that changes everything. The moment where instead of becoming Darth Vader, Anakin makes a different choice. A choice that will reshape the entire galaxy. But how did we get here? How did the Chosen One's fall become his redemption? And what happens when a Sith Lord's greatest weapon turns against him? It starts with a presence, a pull in the Force that cuts through everything else. The Jedi Temple is burning. Clone troopers march through corridors. Bodies of Jedi lie scattered across ancient stone. Anakin stands among them, his lightsaber casting blue light across walls that are turning to ash. He's done what Palpatine commanded, betrayed everything he once believed. But then he feels it. Padme? She's in agony. The twins are coming early, too early. And suddenly none of this matters. Not the temple, not Palpatine's orders, not even the weight of what he's just done. His wife needs him. His children need him. So he runs. His breathing is heavy, mechanical almost, as if he's already wearing the mask that will define his future. Around him lie the bodies of Jedi he once called friends, masters who taught him, knights who fought beside him, Padawans who looked up to him with admiration and hope. Their faces are frozen in expressions of shock and betrayal, and Anakin can't bring himself to meet their empty stares. His hands shake as he deactivates his weapon. The sudden absence of its hum leaves only the crackle of flames and the distant sounds of blaster fire as the clones secure the temple. What have I done? The thought comes unbidden, piercing through the red haze that's clouded his mind since he knelt before Palpatine. The Chancellor? No. The Emperor's words echo in his head like a mantra. The Jedi are traitors. They tried to assassinate me. They would have destroyed the Republic. But standing here, surrounded by death, he delivered with his own hands. Those words feel hollow. Empty justifications for murder. A presence tugs at his consciousness. Faint, but insistent. Cutting through everything else like a beacon in a storm. Padme. He can feel her through their bond, that connection forged through years of secret love and stolen moments. She's in pain. Real, physical, agonizing pain that makes his own chest constrict in sympathy. The twins. Something's wrong with the twins. The realization hits him like a physical blow, and suddenly nothing else matters. Not the temple, not Palpatine's orders, not even the weight of what he's done. Padme needs him. He runs. Through corridors littered with the dead, past clone troopers who snap to attention and salute him as Vader, past chambers where he once meditated and trained and dreamed of a better galaxy. He reaches the hangar where his starfighter waits, sleek and deadly, a tool of war that suddenly feels like a lifeline. He doesn't bother with pre-flight checks or proper procedures. He just ignites the engines and punches through the atmosphere, leaving the burning temple behind. But he can't leave behind the images. The faces of the younglings who begged him for help before his lightsaber cut them down. The shock in Master Shakti's eyes as his blade pierced her heart. The way the temple guards fought to the last, defending an order that was already dead. The flight to his apartment takes minutes that stretch like hours. Coruscant's sky lanes are chaos tonight. Emergency vehicles scream past, heading toward the temple or other sites of violence across the planet. Order 66 isn't just happening at the temple, it's everywhere. Every Jedi in the galaxy is being hunted down by the soldiers they once led into battle. Anakin tries not to think about Ahsoka. His former Padawan, wherever she is probably fighting for her life right now. Or maybe she's already dead. The thought makes him want to scream, but he pushes it down. He can't afford to break. Not yet. Not until Padme is safe. He lands on their private platform with enough force to crack the permacrete. The ship's landing gear groans in protest, but he's already out of the cockpit and running toward their apartment. The door opens at his approach, recognizing his biometric signature, and he nearly trips over the threshold in his haste. Padme, where is she? The living room is empty. Furniture undisturbed. No sign of struggle. The kitchen the same. His panic rises with each empty room until he hears it. A low, agonized moan coming from their bedroom. He finds her collapsed on the floor beside their bed, her silk nightgown soaked with sweat and something else. Blood. There's blood, and the sight of it makes his heart stop. She's clutching her swollen belly with both hands, her face contorted in a pain so intense she can barely breathe. When she sees him, relief and fear, war in her expression. Anakin, thank the Force. Something's wrong. The babies, they're coming too early. Help me. Please, help me. He drops to his knees beside her, his hands hovering uselessly over her body. He's fought in countless battles, faced down armies of droids, dueled Sith and Dark Jedi. But nothing has prepared him for this. The woman he loves, the reason he betrayed everything he believed in, is dying right in front of him, and he doesn't know how to save her. No, no, this can't be happening. Not now. Not after everything I've done to save you. This was supposed to prevent this. Palpatine promised. But Palpatine isn't here. The Emperor who whispered poison in his ear, who promised the power to cheat death, who said he could save Padme from the visions that haunted Anakin's dreams. He's nowhere to be found. It's just Anakin and Padme and the twins struggling to be born too soon, too fast, in circumstances that could kill them all. You have to help me. There's no time for medical droids. I can feel them. They're in distress. If we don't do something now, we'll lose them. We'll lose all of us. Her words snap him out of his paralysis. He's a Jedi. Was a Jedi. Is something in between now. But regardless of titles and allegiances, he has the Force. He closes his eyes and reaches out, extending his awareness beyond his own body, beyond Padme's, down into the life growing within her. And there they are, two tiny sparks of consciousness, bright as stars, burning with a potential that takes his breath away. His children, his son and daughter. He can feel their confusion, their fear, the way their mother's distress is affecting them. They're trying to come into the world, following instincts as old as life itself. But something is wrong. The timing is off. Padme's body isn't ready. The stress of tonight, the fear and anguish she felt when she sensed what Anakin was doing at the temple, it triggered early labor. He has to fix this. He has to. Anakin places one hand on Padme's belly and the other on her forehead, feeling her pulse hammering beneath her skin. Then he dives deep into the Force, not with the anger and fear that fueled his actions at the temple, but with desperation and love. He doesn't know if this will work. Jedi healing was never his strong suit, and what he's attempting now goes beyond anything he was taught. But he has to try. For Padme, for his children, for the family he sacrificed everything to protect. The Force responds to his call, flowing through him like a river of light. He guides it into Padme, supporting her body, easing the pain, helping her muscles relax and contract in the right rhythm. He touches the twins with that same gentle power, soothing their distress, letting them know that their father is here and everything will be all right. Time loses meaning. There's only the Force and the task at hand, and Padme's ragged breathing and the way she grips his hand hard enough to leave bruises. Then she's pushing and he's supporting her, one arm around her shoulders to hold her upright, the other still channeling the Force to guide the process. She screams, a sound of pure agony that rips through him like a blade. And he whispers, reassurances he's not sure either of them believes. You can do this. You're the strongest person I know. Just a little more. They're almost here. I can feel them. They're so close. And then, miracle of miracles, a new sound fills the room. A cry, high-pitched and piercing. The sound of a newborn taking their first breath. Anakin catches the infant in his hands. This tiny, fragile thing covered in blood and vernix, impossibly small and light. A boy, his son. The baby's eyes flutter open, unfocused but searching. And for a moment, father and son simply stare at each other. Anakin has seen many things in his life. He's witnessed the beauty of 1,000 worlds, the horror of war, the darkness that lurks in the hearts of men. But nothing has prepared him for this moment. This perfect, innocent being who exists because he and Padme loved each other, who carries within him the potential to be anything, to do anything, to change the galaxy in ways Anakin can't even imagine. Luke. The name comes to him unbidden, rising from some deep well of intuition. His son is Luke. He wraps the baby in a blanket that was waiting nearby. Padme's careful preparation for this moment, and sets him gently in the bassinet they'd set up weeks ago. Then he turns back to Padme because she's not done. Another contraction seizes her, harder than the last, and she bears down with a strength he didn't know she still possessed. Minutes later, another cry joins Luke's. This one is somehow different, fiercer perhaps, more demanding. Anakin catches his daughter with the same careful reverence, looking down at her tiny face and feeling his heart expand in ways he didn't know were possible. She has Padme's features, he thinks, or maybe that's just wishful thinking. She's so small, both of them are, and yet he can already feel the power in them. The Force flows through these children like nothing he's ever sensed. Not raw power, though that's there too, but something purer, something untainted by the darkness that's consumed him. Leia. His daughter is Leia. He wraps her just as carefully as her brother and places her in the bassinet beside Luke. The twins immediately quiet, sensing each other's presence, drawing comfort from the sibling bond that's already forming. Anakin watches them for a moment. These two perfect beings who have no idea what kind of galaxy they've been born into, what kind of father they have, what he's done in the name of protecting them. Behind him, Padme makes a sound, half laugh and half sob. Luke and Leia, that's what we'll call them. She's exhausted, her face pale and drawn, but she's alive, breathing, smiling through tears of pain and joy and overwhelming emotion. Anakin turns to her, and for the first time since he left the temple, he really looks at her. The woman he married in secret, the senator who believes in justice and peace. The love of his life who just gave him 2 children while their world fell apart around them. He helps her onto the bed, supporting her weight as her legs threaten to give out. She's lost blood. Too much blood. He can see it staining her nightgown, pooling on the floor. She needs medical attention. Real medical attention. Not just what he can provide with the Force, but can he risk taking her to a medical center after what he's done? After what Palpatine has set in motion? Nowhere in Coruscant is truly safe. The clones are everywhere, hunting Jedi and anyone who might oppose the new Empire. And Padme is a senator who's been vocal about her opposition to Palpatine's growing power. She's in danger. They're all in danger. What have I done? The words slip out before he can stop them. Barely a whisper, but Padme hears them. Her eyes, which had been drifting closed from exhaustion, snap open. What do you mean? There's fear in her voice now, cutting through the joy of the twins' birth. What's happened? Anakin. He can't meet her gaze, can't face the questions he sees forming there. Instead, he busies himself cleaning up, using the Force to gather towels and water, trying to make her comfortable. But she won't be deterred. She reaches out and grabs his hand, forcing him to look at her. Anakin, what have you done? The dam breaks. Everything he's been holding back since he ignited his lightsaber in the council chamber comes pouring out. The temple, the Jedi. I killed them. Padme. All of them. The Masters. The Knights. The Padawans. The children. He chokes on the last word. I killed children. Younglings who trusted me, who looked at me for protection, and I cut them down like they were nothing. Her face goes white. All color drains from her cheeks as his words sink in. She pulls her hand back as if his touch burns her, and the movement feels like a lightsaber to his chest. No, no, Anakin, tell me you didn't. Tell me this is some kind of mistake, some kind of misunderstanding. But she can see the truth in his face. She can see the yellow tinge in his eyes, the mark of the dark side, the darkness that clings to him like smoke, corrupting everything it touches. He starts pacing, unable to stand still, the words tumbling out in a desperate rush to make her understand. I did it for you, for us, for them. He gestures toward the bassinet where Luke and Leia sleep, oblivious to the horror their father has become. Palpatine said he could save you from dying in childbirth. The visions I've been having, you dying, screaming my name. I couldn't let that happen. I couldn't lose you. He told me the Jedi were traitors, that they were plotting to overthrow the Republic, that they would destroy everything we'd built. He's the only one who can teach me the power to keep you alive. Padme's voice is cold now, cutting through his rationalizations like a vibroblade. Except he didn't teach you anything, did he? You saved me, Anakin, not Palpatine. You did this. With the Force, with love, not with whatever dark power he promised you. The Emperor isn't even here. He didn't lift a finger to help us. You did it all yourself." The truth of her words hits him like a physical blow. He staggers back against the wall, his legs suddenly unable to support his weight. She's right. Of course she's right. Everything Palpatine promised, every dark whisper about the power to cheat death, every assurance that only the Sith could save the ones he loved. It was all manipulation, lies built on his fear and desperation. Anakin saved Padme himself, with the Force, with the skills the Jedi taught him, with love that needs no darkness to make it powerful. What have I done? He repeats the question, but this time it's not rhetorical. This time he's really asking, really trying to understand the magnitude of his actions. I betrayed everything, everyone. The Jedi who raised me, Obi-Wan, who was like a brother, Ahsoka, who trusted me, all of them. And for what? For promises that were empty from the start? Padme is crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. She wants to hate him. He can feel it through their bond. Part of her does hate him for what he's done. But another part, the part that has loved him for years, that married him despite the rules and the risks, that part is trying desperately to find some way to forgive this, some way to reconcile the man she loves with the monster who murdered children. How could you? Her voice breaks. How could you kill younglings, Anakin? They were innocent. They had their whole lives ahead of them. I don't know. He's sobbing now too. Great heaving sobs that shake his whole body. I don't know. I was so afraid, so angry. The Jedi Council never trusted me. They kept me at arm's length, denied me the rank of master, made me spy on the Chancellor, on Palpatine. And he was so understanding, so supportive. He saw my potential when they only saw danger. And when he told me the Jedi were the real threat, that they were going to destroy the Republic and take you from me, I believed him. I wanted to believe him. Believing lies doesn't make murder acceptable. Padme's voice is firm despite her tears. Those children didn't threaten you. They didn't take anything from you. They were students, babies, some of them, and you killed them. How am I supposed to look at you now? How am I supposed to let you near our children when you're capable of that? The question cuts deeper than anything else she could have said. Anakin looks at the bassinet where Luke and Leia sleep, their tiny chests rising and falling in perfect rhythm. What kind of father is he? What kind of example can he set when his hands are stained with the blood of innocence? Padme is right to fear him, right to question whether he should be allowed anywhere near their children. I don't know. I don't have an answer. All I know is that when I held them, when I felt them in the Force, something shifted, something broke inside me, or maybe something mended. I can't explain it. He moves closer to the bassinet, careful to keep some distance from Padme, respecting her need for space. When Luke cried, I instinctively reached out to soothe him, not with anger or fear or any of the emotions I've been drowning in, just with love. And it worked. They calmed down. They felt safe. And in that moment, I realized that everything Palpatine told me was a lie. That I don't need dark powers to protect my family. I just need to be present, to be their father, to be the man you fell in love with. Padme watches him carefully, searching for any sign of deception or self-delusion. And are you? Are you still that man? Or is he buried too deep under Darth Vader to ever come back? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But I want to be. Looking at them, our children, I want to be better than I've been. Better than the Jedi who couldn't trust emotions. Better than the Sith who let emotions control them. I want to find balance. To be the father they deserve. A long silence stretches between them, broken only by the soft sounds of the twins sleeping and the distant noise of Coruscant's never-ending traffic. Finally, Padme speaks, her voice barely above a whisper. We can't stay here. You're right about that much. Palpatine will come for us eventually. And the Jedi, if any of them survived, they'll be hunting you. We need to go somewhere safe. Somewhere we can figure out what to do next. Anakin nods, relief flooding through him at the word we. She's not sending him away. Not yet. At least, she's willing to give him a chance, however slim, to prove he can be more than the monster he became. I know a place. Mustafar. It's in the Outer Rim. Remote. Defensible. Palpatine sent me there to eliminate the Separatist Council. I can secure the facility. Make it a sanctuary for us. At least temporarily. Just until we figure out our next move. Mustafar. Padme's expression is troubled. That's where the lava rivers are, where the Separatists have been hiding. It's not exactly child-friendly, I know, but it's isolated. And right now, isolation is what we need. I can make it safe. I promise. Padme looks at him for a long moment, then nods slowly. All right. But Anakin, if you ever, and I mean ever, give me reason to think you're a danger to our children, I will take them and disappear. I don't care how powerful you are. I don't care about the Force or the Sith or any of it. Nothing matters more than Luke and Leia's safety. Do you understand me? I understand, and I agree. If I become that person again, if I lose myself to the darkness, I want you to take them as far away from me as possible. They deserve better than Darth Vader for a father. But I'm going to fight, Padme. I'm going to fight with everything I have to be Anakin Skywalker again. For them, for you, for myself. They spend the next hour preparing to leave. Anakin gathers supplies, medical equipment, anything they might need for an extended stay on Mustafar. Padme, still weak from giving birth, focuses on the twins. She holds them, one at a time, memorizing their faces, their tiny fingers and toes, the way they smell like new life and infinite possibility. She's terrified of what Anakin has become, terrified of bringing her newborns to a volcanic hellscape, terrified of the galaxy they're inheriting. But beneath the fear is determination. She's survived assassination attempts, political intrigue, war. She can survive this too. For her children, she'll survive anything. When everything is ready, Anakin carries the twins while Padme leans on him for support. She's still recovering, still bleeding more than he'd like, but they can't wait. Every moment they stay in Coruscant increases the risk of discovery. They make their way to his ship, a larger transport vessel he keeps for when he needs to move equipment or personnel. It has room for all of them and the supplies they've packed. As they lift off from the platform, Padme takes one last look at their apartment, at the life they built together in secret, at the home where their children were born. She has a feeling she'll never see it again. The journey to Mustafar takes several hours. Hyperspace travel, usually peaceful and meditative for Jedi, is torture for Anakin. He can't meditate, can't find the calm center he's always relied on. His mind races with images of what he's done, the people he's killed, the order he's destroyed. He keeps seeing the younglings' faces, keeps hearing their screams, keeps feeling the way his lightsaber met. No resistance as it cut through their small bodies. He wants to scream, to rage, to somehow undo what he's done. But he can't. The past is fixed, immutable. All he can do is try to shape the future. Padme spends the journey caring for the twins. Luke is fussy, unsettled by the unfamiliar surroundings and the strange sensations of space travel. Leia is quieter, but just as alert, her eyes tracking movement with an intelligence that seems impossible for a newborn. Padme feeds them, changes them, holds them close, and sings Naboo lullabies in a voice rough with tears. She tries not to think about what they're flying toward, tries not to think about her husband's bloody hands holding these innocent babies, tries not to think about what kind of mother brings her children to a place called Mustafar. Anakin checks on them periodically, offering help that Padme sometimes accepts and sometimes refuses. When she does let him hold them, he's struck again by how natural it feels, how right. The Force flows between him and his children in a way he's never experienced before. It's not the tumultuous, dark side-tinged connection he's felt recently. It's pure, clean, like touching sunlight after months in darkness. He uses it to soothe them when they cry, projecting feelings of safety and love, and they respond immediately. Luke's fussing quiets. Leia's tiny fist unclenches from its tight ball. They recognize their father, even if they can't understand what that means yet. During one of these moments, with both twins sleeping peacefully in his arms, Anakin has a realization that shakes him to his core. This is what Palpatine feared. Not Anakin's power or his potential or his connection to the prophecy of the Chosen One. This, love, family, bonds that can't be controlled or manipulated. The Jedi feared attachment because they thought it led to the dark side. The Sith exploit attachment as a tool for control. But real love, pure love, the kind he feels looking at his children, that's something neither order truly understands. That's something that might actually bring balance to the Force. When they finally drop out of hyperspace, Mustafar looms before them like a vision of hell. The planet's surface is scarred with rivers of lava, great glowing arteries that snake across continents of black stone. The atmosphere shimmers with heat, and even from orbit, Anakin can feel the oppressive weight of the dark side energy that permeates this place. It's a wound in the Force, he realizes. A place where so much suffering has occurred that it's left a permanent mark. The Separatists chose well. This is a planet that hides secrets and swallows the light. He lands at the main facility, a massive complex of black metal and transparent steel built on a promontory overlooking a lava fall. The structure is designed to withstand the extreme heat, with cooling systems running constantly to keep the interior habitable. Anakin had been here once before, briefly, during the war. He knows the layout, knows which sections are secure and which are vulnerable. He docks in a private hangar, away from the main landing bays, where the Separatist Council's ships are berthed. He doesn't want anyone knowing they're here. Not yet. Not until he's decided what to do about Palpatine's orders. Inside, the facility is surprisingly comfortable. The Separatists spared no expense on their hidden fortress. There are living quarters with actual beds, kitchens stocked with food, even a meditation chamber with a viewport overlooking the lava flows. Anakin chooses a suite of rooms on the upper level, as far from the Separatist Council chambers as possible. He seals the doors and checks the security systems, making sure no one can enter without his knowledge. Then he sets about making the space livable for his family. Padme watches him work with mixed feelings. Part of her is grateful for his efficiency, his protectiveness. Part of her is horrified by how comfortable he seems in this dark place. He moves through the shadows like he belongs here. And maybe he does now. Maybe the Anakin she fell in love with, the hero of the Republic, the brightest light in the Jedi Order, is truly gone, replaced by this stranger who can kill children and not even flinch. But then he does something that makes her question that assessment. He's setting up the bassinet for Luke and Leia, arranging it carefully so they'll have a view of the sky rather than the lava. And he pauses. His hand hovers over Leia's sleeping form, trembling. Padme watches as tears stream down his face, silent and unchecked. He's breaking. The facade of strength and control is cracking, and underneath is a man drowning in guilt and horror at what he's become. She should let him suffer, should let him drown in the consequences of his choices. But she can't. Despite everything, she still loves him. So she crosses the room and takes his hand, squeezing it gently. We'll figure this out. Somehow, we'll find a way through this. He looks at her with eyes full of such pain and gratitude that it makes her chest ache. Thank you. I don't deserve your compassion. I know I don't. But thank you. She doesn't respond, just holds his hand and looks at their sleeping children and wonders what the hell they're going to do. Outside the viewport, Mustafar's lava rivers flow endlessly, patient and destructive, waiting for everything to burn. The first few hours on Mustafar are surreal. Anakin and Padme move through the space like ghosts, caring for the twins, unpacking supplies, trying to establish some sense of normalcy in a place that's anything but normal. The facility's environmental systems keep the interior cool, but the heat is always there, pressing against the walls, a constant reminder of the fire just beyond their shelter. The twins seem unsettled by it. Luke cries more than he did on the ship, and Leia's sleep is fitful, punctuated by whimpers that break Padme's heart. Anakin tries to help, using the Force to soothe them, but it's not enough. The dark side energy of Mustafar seeps into everything, corrupting even his best intentions. He can feel it calling to him, whispering promises of power and control. It would be so easy to give in, to let the darkness consume him completely, to become the Sith Lord Palpatine wants him to be. But every time he's tempted, he looks at Luke and Leia and remembers why he's fighting. They're his light in this darkness, his anchor to something better than the monster he became. Padme finally convinces the twins to sleep and joins Anakin at the viewport. She's still weak from the birth, moving carefully to avoid aggravating her injuries. But she refuses to rest. There's too much to process, too many questions that need answers. Anakin, we need to talk about what happens next. We can't hide here forever. Sooner or later, someone will find us. Palpatine will come looking for you. The Jedi, if any survived, will hunt you. We need a plan. He's been thinking about the same thing, turning possibilities over in his mind like a puzzle master, studying pieces that don't quite fit. I know, but I need time. Time to understand what I've done. Time to figure out if there's any way to make this right. You can't make this right. Padme's voice is gentle but firm. What's done is done. The Jedi you killed, they're gone. Nothing you do can bring them back. All you can do is try to be better going forward, to make different choices. And how do I do that? How do I live with what I've done? How do I look at our children and not see the younglings I murdered? She doesn't have an answer for that. How could she? She's never killed anyone. Never mind children. She's a politician, a peacemaker, someone who believes in the power of words and diplomacy. The kind of violence Anakin committed is so far outside her experience that she can barely comprehend it. I don't know. Maybe you can't live with it. Maybe this guilt is the price you pay for what you've done. But you can't give up. You can't let the darkness win. Because if you do, if you become Darth Vader completely, then those children died for nothing. He turns from the viewport to face her, really face her, for the first time since they arrived. You keep saying that name, Darth Vader. How do you know it? Palpatine. When I confronted him after I sensed what was happening, he told me. He said, Anakin Skywalker was weak, that Darth Vader would be strong, that you had pledged yourself to him and to the dark side. The name tastes like ash in her mouth. Is it true? Did you take a Sith name? I knelt before him. I said the words. But standing here now, looking at you and our children, I don't feel like Vader. I feel like Anakin, scared, confused, drowning in regret. Does that mean the Sith name didn't take? Or does it mean I'm lying to myself? I don't know what I am anymore, Padme. I don't know if I'm a Jedi or a Sith or something in between. All I know is that I'm a father, and I want to be a good one, even if I have no idea how. Before she can respond, a disturbance ripples through the Force. Anakin stiffens, his hand instinctively moving toward his lightsaber. Someone's here, someone powerful. Padme's face pales. Palpatine? No, this presence is different, familiar. It carries with it grief and anger, and a love so deep it burns like the lava outside. Anakin knows this presence better than his own. Obi-Wan. He turns to Padme, his mind racing. Stay with the twins. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone except me. No, I won't hide while you face him alone. Padme, please. He's here for me. Not you. Not the children. Let me handle this. She wants to argue. He can see it in her eyes. But she also knows he's right. So she nods reluctantly and moves toward the bassinet where Luke and Leia sleep. Anakin takes one last look at his family, trying to memorize this moment in case it's the last time he sees them. Then steps out into the corridor. The facility's hallways are dimly lit, emergency lighting casting long shadows across polished metal floors. Anakin makes his way toward the disturbance, following the pull of Obi-Wan's presence through the Force. He finds his former master in a large chamber, overlooking the lava flows, his back to the door. Lightsaber unignited, but held ready in his hand. For a moment, neither of them speaks. The silence stretches, heavy with unspoken accusations and shared history. Then Obi-Wan turns, and Anakin sees the devastation on his face. "Step away from them, Anakin." The words are measured, controlled, but underneath is a tremor of barely contained emotion. Or what? "You'll cut me down like the Sith you are, like the monster who murdered our brothers and sisters." Obi-Wan's lightsaber ignites with a snap hiss, its blue blade casting eerie light across his features. "Don't test me. Not today. Not after what you've done." Anakin's hand moves to his own lightsaber, but he doesn't ignite it. Not yet. He can't fight Obi-Wan. Won't fight him. Not here. Not now. Not with his family so close. "Master, I know how this looks. I know what you must think of me. But please, hear me out. Hear you out." Obi-Wan's voice rises, his legendary control finally cracking. "What could you possibly say that would justify what you've done?" "I was there, Anakin. I saw the temple. I saw the bodies of younglings cut down by a lightsaber. Your lightsaber. How do you explain that?" "I can't." The admission hangs in the air between them. "I can't explain it. I can't justify it. All I can tell you is that I was deceived, manipulated by Palpatine. He promised me power to save Padme, to prevent her death in childbirth. And I was so afraid of losing her that I believed him. I let fear turn me into something I never wanted to be. Palpatine." Obi-Wan's expression shifts from rage to shock. "The Chancellor? He's the Sith Lord? Darth Sidious?" "Yes. He's been playing both sides of the war from the beginning, using the Republic and the Separatists as pawns in his game. And I was his greatest pawn. He turned me against the Jedi, against you, against everything I believed in. And I let him. That's the worst part, Obi-Wan. I let him do it. I chose this. I chose the dark side." Behind him, a sound makes both men tense. Padme's voice, trembling but determined. He's telling the truth. Obi-Wan, Palpatine is Darth Sidious. He manipulated the entire galaxy into war so he could seize power. And he used Anakin's love for me as the tool to break him. Obi-Wan's gaze moves past Anakin to where Padme stands in the doorway, holding Luke and Leia. His eyes widen at the sight of the twins. "You've had your children. That's why you came here. Not to follow Palpatine's orders. To protect your family." Anakin nods slowly. "When I held them for the first time, when I felt their presence in the Force, something changed. I realized that everything Palpatine promised me was a lie, that I saved Padme myself, that I don't need dark powers to protect the people I love. I just need to be present, to be their father, to be the man I was before I fell." Obi-Wan lowers his lightsaber slightly but doesn't deactivate it. "Pretty words, Anakin. But words don't erase what you've done. The Jedi Order is destroyed. Masters I've known for decades are dead. Children who trusted you were slaughtered like animals. How am I supposed to forgive that? How am I supposed to believe you're still the person I trained? The brother I loved? You're not." Anakin's voice is barely a whisper. "You're not supposed to forgive me. What I've done is unforgivable. But I need you to understand, that I'm trying to find my way back for them. He gestures toward Padme and the twins. They deserve better than Darth Vader for a father. They deserve Anakin Skywalker, and I'm going to fight with everything I have to give them that. Obi-Wan studies him carefully, searching for deception or self-delusion. The silence stretches between them, broken only by the distant rumble of lava flows and Luke's soft whimpering as he wakes. Anakin turns slightly, reaching out through the Force to project calm toward his son. The baby quiets almost immediately, settling back into sleep in Padme's arms. When Anakin looks back at Obi-Wan, he finds his former master staring at him with an expression of profound confusion. "What are you doing?" "Comforting my son. Something the Jedi would have forbidden me from even having." "No. I mean, what are you doing with the Force?" It felt different, clean, not like the dark side at all. Anakin considers this, trying to understand himself. What happened? I don't know. When I reach out to Luke and Leia, when I connect with them through the Force, it's like touching light after months in darkness. The anger and fear that have been consuming me, they just fall away. All that's left is love. Pure, uncomplicated love. The Jedi taught that attachment leads to the dark side. Obi-Wan's voice is thoughtful now, less accusatory. That love and possession are the same thing. But what you're describing, what I'm sensing from you right now, it's not possessive. It's selfless, sacrificial even. That's not how the dark side works. Exactly. Anakin takes a step forward, emboldened by this shift in Obi-Wan's tone. What if the Jedi were wrong? Not about everything, but about this. What if attachment isn't the problem? What if the problem is being so afraid of attachment that we cut ourselves off from the very things that make us human? The Sith exploit love as a tool for control. But what if real love, the kind I feel for Padme and my children, what if that's actually the key to balance? That's dangerous thinking, Anakin. The Jedi Code has guided our order for thousands of years. You can't just dismiss it because it's inconvenient. I'm not dismissing it. I'm questioning it. There's a difference. The Jedi Order is gone. Obi-Wan, destroyed by a Sith Lord who sat in plain sight for years while we were too blind to see him. Maybe it's time to question everything we thought we knew. Maybe the old ways led us to this destruction. Maybe balance requires something new. Before Obi-Wan can respond, another presence makes itself known. This one vast and cold, like the void of space itself. The temperature in the chamber seems to drop despite the volcanic heat pressing against the walls. Even the lava outside seems to dim, as if retreating from the malevolence that's just arrived. Anakin's blood runs cold. He knows this presence, has felt it countless times over the past few years, growing more oppressive with each encounter. Palpatine. The main doors of the chamber explode inward, torn from their hinges by an invisible force that sends Durasteel crashing across the floor. Through the smoke and debris steps Emperor Palpatine, his yellow eyes gleaming beneath his hood like twin suns of malice. Behind him march a squad of clone troopers, their white armor pristine, their DC-15 blasters held at ready. Flanking the Emperor are his royal guards, silent sentinels in crimson robes, force pikes crackling with energy. The display is designed to intimidate, to demonstrate power and control. And it works. Even Anakin, who has stood against armies and fought alongside the greatest warriors in the galaxy, feels a spike of fear. Lord Vader. Palpatine's voice is smooth as silk, betraying nothing of the rage that Anakin can sense beneath the surface. I'm disappointed. You were supposed to eliminate the separatist leadership, not hide away with your family. But here you are, playing house while the Empire waits for your return. What am I to make of this disobedience? My name is Anakin Skywalker. The words come out stronger than he expected, carrying a conviction he didn't know he still possessed. And I'm not your apprentice anymore. Oh, I think not. Palpatine's smile is cold and cruel. You ceased being Skywalker the moment you knelt before me, the moment you pledged yourself to the dark side. You are Darth Vader, my apprentice, and you will obey me. Anakin ignites his lightsaber, the blue blade humming to life. He positions himself between Palpatine and his family, making his stance clear. No, I won't. Not anymore. I know what you are now, what you've been doing. You manipulated me, used my fear of losing Padme to turn me into your weapon. But I see through the lies now. I saved her myself, not with your dark powers, not with Sith alchemy, just with the Force and love. You never intended to teach me how to save her, did you? You just needed a monster to do your dirty work. Palpatine's expression doesn't change, but Anakin feels satisfaction radiating from him. And it worked beautifully, didn't it? Look at what you've accomplished. The Jedi are destroyed. The Republic is mine. You've helped me create the perfect empire, one where I am the absolute authority, where there is no resistance, no opposition, only order, my order. And you, Lord Vader, will continue to serve me, because you have no choice. You've gone too far down the dark path to ever return. I have children now. Anakin glances back at Padme, who's retreated to the far wall, holding Luke and Leia close. That changes everything. They're innocent, pure, and when I hold them, when I connect with them through the Force, I remember who I used to be, who I can still be. You have no power over me anymore. Palpatine, your lies can't touch me when I have them. Children. Palpatine's eyes gleam with interest as his gaze moves to Padme and the twins. How fortunate. Force-sensitive children are so rare, so valuable. Bring them to me, Vader. Together, we'll train them from birth, mold them into perfect Sith. They'll be even more powerful than you, stronger, more obedient. A new generation of dark side users to ensure my empire lasts for eternity. The words send ice through Anakin's veins. He sees now what Palpatine's true plan was all along. The twins weren't a complication. They were the goal. Anakin was just a means to an end, a powerful but flawed tool to be discarded once something better came along. Over my dead body. That can be arranged. Palpatine raises his hands and lightning erupts from his fingertips. The attack comes faster than thought, a torrent of dark side energy that turns the air itself into plasma. Anakin barely gets his lightsaber up in time to catch the blast. The energy crackles and hisses against the blade, pushing him back step by step across the polished floor. His arms burn with the effort of holding the lightning at bay. The power Palpatine wields is immense, far greater than anything Anakin has faced before. This isn't the somewhat feeble old man he fought alongside in council chambers. This is Darth Sidious unmasked, the most powerful Sith Lord in 1,000 years. Behind him, Obi-Wan springs into action. His lightsaber flashes as he engages the royal guards, who surge forward to protect their master. The red-robed sentinels are skilled warriors, trained in exotic fighting styles and armed with weapons specifically designed to counter lightsabers. But Obi-Wan is a master of Soresu, the most defensive of the 7 forms. His blade moves in a perfect defensive sphere, intercepting every thrust of the Force pikes, redirecting every strike. He moves with precision that borders on precognition. His connection to the Force, allowing him to see attacks before they're made. The clone troopers open fire, their blaster bolts filling the air with red streaks of superheated plasma. Obi-Wan's lightsaber becomes a blur as he deflects them, sending bolts ricocheting harmlessly into walls or back toward their source. 2 clones fall to their own reflected fire. 3 more advance, spreading out to flank him. But he's already moving, his Jedi robes billowing as he leaps and spins, his blade carving through armor and flesh with surgical precision. Meanwhile, Anakin struggles against Palpatine's lightning. The Emperor's attack intensifies, and Anakin can feel his muscles seizing, his skin burning where the energy makes contact. He channels the Force, drawing on both light and dark, trying to match Palpatine's power. The effort is immense. Sweat pours down his face. His teeth clench so hard, he thinks they might crack, but he holds the line. He has to, because behind him is everything that matters. His wife, his children, the future he's fighting for. "You cannot defeat me, young Skywalker." Palpatine's voice cuts through the chaos like a knife. "I am the dark side incarnate. I am power beyond your comprehension. You're just a broken Jedi playing at being Sith. You never truly understood what I was offering. You took the title but rejected the philosophy. And now, you'll pay the price for your weakness." Behind him, Padme's scream pierces the air. Anakin risks a glance back and sees one of the clone troopers advancing on her and the twins, his blaster raised. Everything else falls away. The lightning, the pain, Palpatine's taunts. All that matters is that trooper and the weapon aimed at his family. With a roar that's part rage and part desperation, Anakin redirects. Instead of using his lightsaber to block the lightning, he lets it flow into him, accepting the pain, channeling it through his body, and back out his free hand. Force lightning erupts from Anakin's palm, crude and uncontrolled compared to Palpatine's refined technique, but powerful nonetheless. It slams into the Emperor, breaking his concentration just long enough for Anakin to break free. He spins, his lightsaber already in motion, and hurls it toward the trooper, threatening his family. The weapon spins through the air like a deadly disk of light, severing the clone's blaster in half before returning to Anakin's hand. The trooper stumbles back, startled but unharmed, and Obi-Wan is there, his lightsaber pressed against the man's throat. "Stand down!" The trooper's companions hesitate, their weapons lowering slightly. Palpatine's fury is palpable now, a pressure in the Force that makes the air itself feel thick and heavy. "Impressive, Vader. You surprise me. Perhaps there's more of the Sith in you than I thought. But skill alone won't save you. Not when you're fighting for the wrong reasons. Love, makes you weak. Attachment makes you vulnerable. You could have been the greatest Sith Lord in history. Instead, you'll die defending a woman and two squalling infants who will forget you before they can walk. You're wrong. Anakin's voice is steady now, even as his body screams in protest from the lightning burns covering his skin. Love doesn't make me weak. It makes me strong, stronger than you could ever understand. Because I'm not fighting for power or control or galactic domination. I'm fighting for them. And there's nothing I wouldn't do, no pain I wouldn't endure to keep them safe. That's not weakness, Palpatine. That's the most powerful force in the galaxy. The Emperor's smile is cruel. Then let's test that theory. He extends both hands, and this time the lightning isn't aimed at Anakin. It arcs across the chamber toward Padme and the twins. Time seems to slow. Anakin can see the electricity crackling through the air, can hear Padme's gasp of fear, can sense Luke and Leia's confusion through their nascent force bond. And he moves. He doesn't think, doesn't plan, just acts on pure instinct, throwing himself into the path of the lightning. It hits him square in the chest, and the pain is beyond anything he's ever experienced. Every nerve in his body is on fire. His vision goes white. His muscles seize so hard he thinks his bones might break. But he stays standing, stays between Palpatine and his family, because that's what fathers do. They endure, they sacrifice, they become the shield that protects those who can't protect themselves. Through the agony, he hears voices. Padme screaming his name, Obi-Wan shouting something he can't make out, and underneath it all, Luke and Leia crying, their distress cutting through the pain like nothing else could. His children need him. They need him to be strong, to be better than he's been, to be the hero they deserve. So he reaches deep, past the pain and fear and guilt, down to the core of who he is. And there, buried beneath all the darkness, he finds light. It starts small, a warmth in his chest that has nothing to do with the lightning burning his flesh. It grows, spreading through his limbs, pushing back the agony. He thinks of Shmi, his mother, who loved him unconditionally, even when he was just a slave with no future. He thinks of Padme, who saw the good in him when he couldn't see it himself. He thinks of Ahsoka, his Padawan, who called him Sky Guy and believed he could be a hero. And he thinks of Luke and Leia, barely hours old, who need him to be better than he's been. The Force surges through him, but it's different now. Clean, pure. Not the seething cauldron of dark side energy he's been drowning in, but something else. Something balanced, light and dark intertwined. Not at war, but in harmony. He extends both hands, and the lightning stops, just stops, dissipating into harmless sparks as Anakin stands tall, his body glowing with a faint golden light. Palpatine's smile falters for the first time. What is this? Impossible. You cannot resist me. You're mine, Vader. I made you. I own you. No. Anakin's voice resonates with power, with certainty he hasn't felt in years. You never owned me. You manipulated me, lied to me, used my fear against me, but I'm done being your puppet. I'm done being Darth Vader. I'm Anakin Skywalker, husband, father, Jedi, and I'm going to stop you. he attacks. Not with the wild, aggressive strikes of Gemso that have always been his signature. Not with the rage-fueled power of the dark side, but with something new, something he's never tried before. His lightsaber moves in perfect harmony with the Force, each strike flowing naturally into the next. He's found the balance the Jedi always talked about, but never quite achieved. The middle path between light and dark, between attachment and detachment, between love and duty. Palpatine blocks with his own crimson blade, and for the first time, Anakin sees something in the Emperor's eyes that might be concern. The old man is fast, his technique flawless, honed over decades of study and practice. But Anakin is faster, stronger, and he's fighting for something Palpatine can never understand. The Emperor spins, his lightsaber creating a scarlet shield around his body. But Anakin's blade finds gaps in the defense. One strike comes within inches of Palpatine's throat. Another nearly severs his hand. Obi-Wan finishes with the last royal guard and turns to join the fight. He moves in from Palpatine's flank, and suddenly the Emperor is facing two opponents. The old friends fight in sync, their years of partnership evident in every movement. When Anakin strikes high, Obi-Wan goes low. When one creates an opening, the other exploits it. It's beautiful and brutal. The dance of Jedi, who were meant to fight together, who are brothers in all but blood. Palpatine snarls in frustration, his legendary composure finally cracking. You cannot defeat me. I am eternal. I am the darkness that has existed since the beginning of time. The Sith will never die. You're wrong. Anakin's voice is calm, despite the intensity of the battle. The Sith will die today, with you, because you made a fatal mistake. You underestimated love. You thought it was weakness. But love is what's going to destroy you. The Emperor unleashes another torrent of lightning, this time targeting Obi-Wan. The Jedi Master tries to block it with his lightsaber, but the intensity is too great. The blue blade catches most of it, but tendrils of electricity snake past his guard, wrapping around his body. He cries out in pain as the lightning lifts him off his feet and hurls him across the chamber. He crashes into the wall with bone-breaking force and slides to the floor, his lightsaber skittering from his grasp. Anakin feels a spike of fear as his former master falls. It's the same fear he felt watching the younglings die, the same terror that consumed him when he dreamed of Padme dying, the fear that drove him to the dark side in the first place. But this time, he doesn't let it control him. He acknowledges it, feels it, and then lets it pass through him without acting on it destructively. Because fear is part of being alive. The trick isn't to suppress it. It's to not let it make your choices for you. He advances on Palpatine with renewed determination. The Emperor backs away, his confident facade crumbling. This isn't how it was supposed to go. Vader was supposed to be his weapon, his perfect tool for enforcing his will on the galaxy. But the weapon has turned in his hand. The monster he created is breaking free of its chains. And for the first time in decades, Darth Sidious feels something he'd almost forgotten: fear. They clash again, lightsabers meeting in showers of sparks. Palpatine's technique is still impeccable, his strikes precise and deadly. But Anakin is relentless. He presses forward, his attack never wavering. giving the Emperor no chance to recover or counterattack. Each strike carries the weight of his realization, his redemption. The blade comes closer and closer to finding its mark. Palpatine's yellow eyes widen with genuine alarm as he realizes he might actually lose this fight. In desperation, the Emperor tries the technique that saved him countless times before. He performs a corkscrew leap, spinning through the air with his lightsaber extended. A move designed to put him behind his opponent and create a perfect killing stroke. It's worked on dozens of Jedi over the years, but Anakin has seen this move before, has studied it, has prepared for it. Instead of turning to follow Palpatine's movement, he does something unexpected. He drops flat to the ground. Palpatine's lightsaber slashes through the space where Anakin's head was moments before. The Emperor lands off balance, surprised by the unorthodox defense. And in that split second of vulnerability, Anakin acts. He performs a Force technique he once saw Palpatine himself use, a Force nullification designed to sever an opponent's connection to the Force temporarily. It requires perfect timing, perfect focus, and an intimate understanding of the Force itself. It's almost impossible to pull off in the heat of battle. But Anakin isn't just almost anyone. The energy leaves his body and slams into Palpatine like an invisible hammer. The Emperor gasps, his face contorting in shock, as his power is stripped away. It will only last moments. But moments are all Anakin needs. He springs to his feet, his lightsaber already in motion. Without the Force to enhance his speed and reflexes, Palpatine is just an old man. A frighteningly intelligent, utterly evil old man. But still just a man. Anakin's blade comes down in a vertical slash that Palpatine barely avoids. The Emperor stumbles backward, trying to create distance, but Anakin is right there, pressing the attack. He slashes again, and this time the blade finds its mark. It cuts across Palpatine's right arm, severing tendons and burning through flesh. The Emperor's lightsaber falls from nerveless fingers, clattering across the floor. Another strike follows immediately, this one aimed at the torso. Palpatine tries to dodge, but without the Force to guide him, he's too slow. The blade cuts through him from shoulder to hip. For a moment, the Emperor of the Galaxy stands there, his eyes wide with disbelief. Then he falls. His body crumples to the floor, the yellow light fading from his eyes. Darth Sidious, the most powerful Sith Lord in 1,000 years, the architect of the Clone Wars and the fall of the Republic, dies on Mustafar, not in some grand final battle with armies at his back, just alone, defeated by the apprentice he thought he'd broken. Anakin stands over the body, his lightsaber still ignited, his body trembling with adrenaline and exhaustion. He can't quite believe it's over, can't process that Palpatine, the figure who loomed so large in his life for so long, is actually dead. He expects to feel triumph, relief, something, but all he feels is tired, bone deep, soul deep tired, like he could sleep for 1,000 years and still wake up, exhausted. Behind him, he hears movement. Padme is there, still holding the twins, her face streaked with tears. Obi-Wan is climbing to his feet, favoring his left side, where Palpatine's lightning caught him, but alive. The clone troopers stand frozen, their weapons lowered, looking at each other uncertainly now that the Emperor who commanded them is dead. The royal guards lie scattered across the chamber, defeated by Obi-Wan's mastery of Soresu. It's over. They won, but the victory rings hollow. Because the facility is shaking now, alarms blare through the corridors, their urgent wail cutting through the post-battle silence. The fight has destabilized something, triggered some system failure. Anakin can feel it through the Force. The facility's structural supports are compromised. The carefully maintained balance that keeps this place from falling into the lava is breaking down. They have minutes at most before the entire complex collapses. We need to leave. Now. Obi-Wan's voice cuts through the fog of Anakin's exhaustion. This whole place is coming down. Agreed. Anakin deactivates his lightsaber and turns to Padme. Can you run? I can try. But the twins, I'll carry them. He takes Luke and Leia from her arms, cradling them against his chest with infinite care. Then he supports Padme with his other arm as they start moving toward the hangar. Obi-Wan follows, occasionally glancing back as if expecting Palpatine to rise like a ghost and continue the fight. They run through corridors that are increasingly filled with smoke and debris. Sections of ceiling collapse behind them, sending crashes echoing through the facility. The heat is intense now, the cooling systems failing, allowing the volcanic temperatures outside to seep in. Anakin can feel the twins' distress through the Force, their fear and confusion as the world shakes around them. He projects calm and safety to them, even as his own heart races with terror that they won't make it out in time. They reach a corridor junction, and Anakin makes a split-second decision. This way. It's the shortest route to the hangar, but as they turn the corner, they find their path blocked. A massive support beam has fallen, crushing through the floor and creating a gap too wide to jump. Below, they can see lava flowing, its light painting everything in shades of orange and red. Dead end. Obi-Wan's voice is grim. We'll have to find another way. There's no time. Anakin thrusts the twins into Padme's arms and steps forward. The beam is huge, easily weighing several tons. But he's Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one. Whether that prophecy is true or not, he's certainly strong in the Force. He extends both hands and reaches out with his power. The beam trembles, rises. Inch by painful inch, he lifts it, his face contorting with effort. Sweat pours down his temples, his muscles scream in protest. But he holds it. Go. Get to the ship. Anakin. Padme's voice is filled with fear. Go. I'll be right behind you. I promise. Obi-Wan takes Padme's arm and helps her across the gap, carefully navigating around the hole in the floor. She's still weak from giving birth, her movements careful and deliberate. Once they're across, Obi-Wan reaches back for the twins. Padme hands Luke over first, then Leia. Obi-Wan cradles them with the same care Anakin did, then steps back from the edge. Your turn. Anakin backs toward the gap, still holding the beam aloft. His arms are shaking now, his grip on the Force slipping. He reaches the edge and risks a glance down. The drop is significant, easily 50 feet to the lava below. If he falls, there's no surviving it. He takes a deep breath, centers himself in the Force, and prepares to jump. But just as he's about to release the beam, he feels something give. One of the beam's anchor points in the ceiling breaks free, and suddenly the entire structure is falling. He has a split second to decide: drop the beam and jump, or hold it long enough for the others to get clear but risk falling himself. It's not really a choice. He holds. The beam crashes down across the gap, blocking the corridor but creating a bridge. The impact sends shock waves through the floor, cracking the permacrete beneath Anakin's feet. He feels himself starting to fall and tries to jump, but he's off balance, his timing wrong. He reaches for the far edge, his fingers scrabbling for purchase, but the gap is too wide. Then a hand catches his wrist. Obi-Wan, leaning over the edge, his grip iron strong. "I've got you." The Jedi Master hauls Anakin up with strength that seems impossible for his lean frame. When they're both safely on solid ground, they take a moment to breathe, to process how close they came to disaster. Then they're running again, following Padme, who's already moving toward the hangar with the twins. They burst into the hangar to find it in chaos. The Separatist Council's ships are attempting to launch, their captains panicking as the facility collapses. Clone troopers rush back and forth, trying to secure equipment or make it to transports. No one pays attention to Anakin and his companions. They're all too focused on their own survival. Anakin spots his ship across the hangar and they make for it, dodging falling debris and groups of fleeing personnel. They're almost there when a section of the ceiling gives way directly above them. A massive chunk of durasteel and permacrete falls, and there's no time to dodge. Anakin reaches out with the Force, catching the debris just before it crushes them. But holding the beam drained him more than he realized. His strength is fading. The debris is slowly descending despite his best efforts. Obi-Wan adds his power to Anakin's, and together they hold it back. But barely. "Get to the ship. Go." Padme doesn't argue. She runs for the vessel, the twins clutched to her chest. Anakin watches her go, his heart in his throat, praying to any gods that might be listening that she makes it safely aboard. She reaches the ramp and disappears inside. Relief floods through him, giving him a second wind. With one final surge of strength, he and Obi-Wan hurl the debris aside and sprint for the ship. They leap aboard just as the ramp is closing. Padme is already in the cockpit, the engines cycling up. She may be a senator, but she learned to fly years ago, another skill from her days as a handmaiden protecting Queen Amidala. The ship lifts off just as the hangar floor collapses entirely. They shoot through the exit and into Mustafar's toxic atmosphere, dodging falling debris and ships, trying to do the same. Behind them, the facility implodes, falling into the lava rivers in a cascade of metal and fire. In the cockpit, Padme pilots with steady hands, her eyes fixed on the sky. Obi-Wan tends to the twins, who are crying now, their fear and confusion finally overwhelming them. And Anakin collapses into a seat, his body finally giving out. The burns from Palpatine's lightning cover much of his torso and arms. His muscles feel like they've been shredded. Every breath is agony, but he's alive. They're all alive, and Palpatine is dead. As they break free of Mustafar's gravity well and jump to hyperspace, Anakin allows himself to close his eyes, just for a moment, just to rest. But the moment stretches, and before he knows it, he's slipping into unconsciousness. The last thing he hears is Padme calling his name, her voice sharp with worry. Then darkness takes him, and for the first time in months, he dreams of something other than death and betrayal. When Anakin wakes, he's in a medical bay. The walls are pristine white, and the air smells of bacta and disinfectant. His body is wrapped in bandages, and he can feel the dull ache of healing flesh beneath them. He tries to sit up, but pain lances through his torso, forcing him back down. Easy. A familiar voice comes from his left. You took quite a beating. Obi-Wan is sitting in a chair beside the bed, looking exhausted but alive. There are new lines around his eyes, and his hair seems to have more gray than Anakin remembers. The events on Mustafar aged him in ways that go beyond physical appearance. Where are we? Somewhere safe. A medical frigate in deep space. We've been here for 3 days while you recovered. 3 days? Padme, the twins, are they? They're fine. Obi-Wan's voice is gentle. Padme has been here every day, but I convinced her to get some rest. She's exhausted, Anakin. The birth, the fight, the stress of everything that's happened. It's taken a toll. And Luke and Leia are in the nursery being monitored by medical droids. They're healthy, strong. They take after their father in that regard. Anakin feels relief wash over him so powerfully it brings tears to his eyes. They're safe. That's all that matters. Obi-Wan watches him with an unreadable expression. We need to talk about what happens next. Anakin nods slowly. He's been dreading this conversation. Knowing it's coming doesn't make it any easier. The Jedi Order. What's left of it? You destroyed it. Killed masters and younglings alike. There has to be consequences for that. I know, and I'll face them. Whatever the Council decides, I'll accept it. There is no Council. Obi-Wan's voice is heavy with grief. Mace Windu is dead. Ki Adi Mundi. Plo Koon. Most of the masters who sat on the council were killed either at the temple or during Order 66. Only Yoda and I survived from the council, and a handful of knights scattered across the galaxy. The Jedi Order as we knew it is gone. Then what do you want from me? Justice, accountability, but also understanding. Obi-Wan stands and walks to the viewport, looking out at the stars. I've had 3 days to think about what happened, to process it, and I keep coming back to the same question. How much of what you did was truly your choice? And how much was Palpatine's manipulation? Anakin considers this carefully. He's asked himself the same question countless times since Mustafar. Both. He manipulated me, used my fears and insecurities, but I still made the choice to kneel before him, to take the Sith name, to ignite my lightsaber in the temple. Those were my choices. Influenced by his lies, yes, but mine nonetheless. I have to own that. I have to accept responsibility for what I've done. Obi-Wan turns from the viewport, and there are tears on his face. I should have seen it, should have known something was wrong. You were my Padawan, my brother, and I failed you. No. Anakin's voice is firm. You didn't fail me, Master. I failed myself. You taught me everything you could, loved me like family. But I was so afraid of losing Padme that I couldn't see past my own fear. That's not your fault. That's mine. The two men look at each other across the medical bay. Years of shared history hanging between them. The missions they flew together. The battles they fought, side by side. The late nights talking about philosophy and the Force. The bond they forged wasn't broken by what happened. It was damaged, severely, but not broken. And maybe, just maybe, it can be repaired. It won't be easy. It will take time and work and honesty. but the foundation is still there. Yoda wants to see you. Obi-Wan breaks the silence. When you're strong enough to travel, he's on a world called Dagobah now, gone into exile. He believes the Jedi failed in our duty, that we became too rigid, too dogmatic, that our fall was as much our fault as Palpatine's. What do you think? I think he might be right. The Jedi Order I grew up in was afraid of emotion, afraid of attachment, afraid of change. We preached balance, but practiced suppression. Maybe that's why we fell, because we were already unbalanced. Anakin thinks about this, about the Jedi he knew and the code they followed. He thinks about how they forbade love but expected him to feel compassion, how they preached serenity but sent him into war, how they talked about bringing balance to the Force but rejected half of what the Force was. The light is good and the dark is evil, they said. But what if it's not that simple? What if balance requires accepting both? Not indulging in darkness, but acknowledging it exists. Not fearing emotions, but learning to manage them. When can I see Padme? Soon. But first, there's something you should know. Obi-Wan's expression becomes grave. The galaxy thinks you're dead. We spread word that Darth Vader fell at Mustafar, killed by the Jedi in a final confrontation. It buys us time, keeps the Empire from hunting you while you recover. Why would you do that? Why protect me after everything I've done? Because Luke and Leia deserve their father. Obi-Wan's voice is soft. And because, despite everything, despite the horror and the pain and the betrayal, you're still my brother. You fell to the dark side, yes, but you climbed back. That has to count for something. The Force brought you back for a reason. Maybe it's to be the father your children need. Maybe it's something more. Either way, you deserve the chance to find out. Anakin feels emotion welling up in his chest, threatening to overflow. Thank you for believing in me when you had every reason not to, for saving me, for giving me this chance. Don't thank me yet. Obi-Wan's expression hardens slightly. You'll have to stand before what's left of the Jedi and answer for what you've done. You'll have to live with the guilt for the rest of your life, and you'll have to prove every single day that Anakin Skywalker is stronger than Darth Vader. That won't be easy, I know, but I'm willing to try. For Luke and Leia, for Padme, for everyone I failed, I'm willing to spend the rest of my life trying to be better. That's all any of us can do. Obi-Wan moves toward the door, then pauses. Rest now. Build your strength. When you're ready, we'll decide what comes next together. He leaves, and Anakin is alone with his thoughts. He lies there for a long time, staring at the ceiling, processing everything that's happened. The fall, the redemption, the death of Palpatine, the birth of his children. It feels like years have passed, not days. Like he's lived multiple lifetimes in the span of a week. And in a way, he has. Anakin Skywalker died in the Jedi Temple. Darth Vader was born in that moment of betrayal. And then, on Mustafar, holding his newborn children, someone new emerged. Someone who is neither purely Jedi nor Sith. Someone trying to find balance. The door hisses open again, and this time it's Padme. She looks tired, dark circles under her eyes. her hair pulled back in a simple style rather than her usual elaborate senatorial fashion. But she's beautiful. She's always beautiful to him. She crosses to the bed and takes his hand, her grip gentle but firm. "You scared me. When you collapsed on the ship, I thought I'd lost you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to worry you." She sits on the edge of the bed, careful not to jostle his injuries. "The twins ask for you." Well, they don't ask exactly, but they sense you're here. They reach out through the Force, looking for you. "Can I see them?" She nods and activates the comm on the wall. A few minutes later, a medical droid enters, carrying Luke and Leia. The babies are awake, their eyes bright and alert. When they see Anakin, they don't cry or fuss. They just stare at him with an intensity that seems impossible for infants. Padme takes them from the droid and carefully places them on the bed beside Anakin. He reaches out with his good arm, touching their tiny hands, and feels their presence flood through him. The Force bond between father and children is stronger now, solidified by what they went through together on Mustafar. He can feel their emotions, their needs, their budding personalities. Luke is calm and thoughtful, even at this young age. There's a serenity to him that reminds Anakin of Obi-Wan. Leia is fiercer, more demanding, with a presence that commands attention. She's going to be a leader someday. He can sense it. They're perfect. Anakin's voice breaks. Both of them, perfect. They're strong in the Force. Padme's voice is worried. Obi-Wan says he's never felt potential like this in one so young. What does that mean for them? It means they'll have choices to make. The same choices I had to make. Light or dark. Jedi or Sith. But hopefully, we can teach them there's another option. Balance. Using the Force not as a weapon or a tool, but as a partner. Living with emotion without being controlled by it. That's what I want for them. And what about the Empire? Palpatine is dead, but his systems remain. The clone army, the Imperial governors, the infrastructure he built. It won't just disappear because he's gone. I know. There will be fighting, probably for years. People trying to seize power. Warlords and ambitious senators and military officers who think they can succeed where Palpatine failed. The galaxy is about to get very dangerous. Padme looks down at the twins, her expression pensive. Then, we need to protect them. Hide them somewhere safe until the chaos settles. Where? Anywhere we go, someone might recognize us. Recognize them. Not if we split up. Anakin's voice is heavy. The suggestion clearly pains him. Luke could go with Obi-Wan. Somewhere remote, where he can be trained in safety. Leia could stay with you. You have connections. People who owe you favors. You could hide her in plain sight. No. Padme's voice is firm. Absolutely not. We're not splitting up this family. We just got it. We're not tearing it apart because of fear. There has to be another way. Maybe there is. A new voice comes from the doorway. Both of them turn to see a figure they didn't expect. Senator Bail Organa of Alderaan stands there. His expression grave but kind. "I've been speaking with Master Kenobi. I have a proposition for you." Bail enters the room, his movements careful and respectful. He's known Padme for years, served alongside her in the Senate, but Anakin is largely a stranger to him. A stranger with a reputation that precedes him. Vader. Or should I call you Skywalker now? Anakin. Just Anakin. Very well, Anakin. I want to offer you and your family sanctuary on Alderaan. It's one of the few worlds that's maintained its independence from the Empire. We have defenses, resources, and more importantly, discretion. Why would you do that? Anakin's suspicion is evident. You don't know me. Don't owe me anything. I'm doing it for Padme. She's been a voice of reason in the Senate for years, a champion of peace and justice, and I'm doing it for your children. They didn't choose to be born into this chaos. They deserve a chance at a normal life, or as normal as possible given their heritage. Padme leans forward, hope lighting her features. You would really do this? Hide us? Protect us? I would, but there are conditions. You'll need to keep a low profile, no public appearances, no political involvement. As far as the galaxy is concerned, you died on Mustafar along with Vader. You'll be ghosts. Can you accept that? Anakin and Padme exchange glances. It's not ideal. Padme has spent her entire adult life in politics, fighting for the causes she believes in. Giving that up will be like cutting off a limb. And Anakin, despite everything, is still a warrior. Still someone who wants to make a difference. But their children's safety has to come first. We can accept it. Padme's voice is steady. For them, we can accept anything. Good. Bail smiles, genuine warmth in his expression. Then it's settled. When you're strong enough to travel, you'll come to Alderaan. My wife and I will help you establish a new life there. And if the twins need training in the Force, we can arrange for discreet instruction. The Jedi may be scattered, but they're not gone. Not entirely. What about Obi-Wan? Anakin asks. And Yoda? What will happen to them? They'll continue the fight in their own way. Bail's expression becomes somber. The Empire won't fall easily. It will take years, maybe decades, to undo the damage Palpatine caused. But there are those of us working from within. Senators who remember the Republic. Military officers who see the Empire for what it is. And Jedi who survived Order 66. We'll resist. We'll rebuild. But we'll do it carefully, patiently. Over the next few weeks, Anakin recovers. The burns from Palpatine's lightning heal, leaving scars that he'll carry for the rest of his life. Physical reminders of what he survived, what he overcame. He spends his days with Padme and the twins, learning how to be a father. It's harder than he expected, more exhausting. Luke and Leia cry at odd hours, need constant feeding and changing, and seem to have an uncanny ability to sense when he's finally fallen asleep. But it's also more rewarding than anything he's ever done. When Luke grasps his finger and won't let go. When Leia's face lights up at the sound of his voice. When both of them fall asleep on his chest, their tiny bodies warm and trusting. These moments make everything worthwhile. Make all the pain and sacrifice and struggle meaningful. He's a father, and somehow, despite everything, he's good at it. Obi-Wan visits regularly, and slowly, painfully, they begin to rebuild their relationship. They don't talk about the temple at first. That wound is too fresh, too raw. Instead, they talk about smaller things, memories of missions they flew together, arguments about protocol and procedure that seem trivial now. The time Anakin crashed a ship and blamed it on Obi-Wan. The time Obi-Wan got them arrested on Cato Neimoidia. These shared experiences become the foundation they build on. Eventually, they do talk about the temple. Anakin describes what happened, the moment when everything went wrong, and Obi-Wan listens without judgment. He doesn't offer platitudes or easy forgiveness. He simply bears witness to Anakin's pain and guilt. And somehow, that's more healing than any absolution could be. You'll carry this with you forever. Obi-Wan's voice is gentle. The faces of those you killed. The knowledge of what you're capable of. It won't get easier, but it might get more bearable. With time and effort, and the determination to be better. How do you know? Because I carry my own burdens, my own failures. I trained you, Anakin. I saw the signs that you were struggling and dismissed them. I chose to believe the council over my own instincts. I let politics and protocol matter more than the bond between master and Padawan. I failed you, and I'll carry that failure for the rest of my life. But I won't let it define me. Won't let it stop me from trying to do better going forward. That's all any of us can do. When Anakin is finally strong enough to travel, they make the journey to Dagobah first. Yoda wants to see him, to assess whether Anakin is truly committed to the light, or if he's still in danger of falling back to darkness. The journey is tense. Anakin has always had a complicated relationship with Yoda. The ancient Jedi Master was one of his strongest critics on the Council, one of those who never fully trusted him. And Yoda was right. That makes this meeting even more difficult. Dagobah is a swamp world, humid and teeming with life. The Force is strong here, but it's wild, untamed. Nothing like the carefully cultivated gardens of the Jedi Temple. They find Yoda living in a small hut near a lagoon, his life stripped down to the essentials. The diminutive master looks even older than Anakin remembers. The weight of the Order's fall evident in every line of his face. But his eyes are still sharp, still seeing far more than they should. Skywalker, come to see me, you have. Yes, Master. I wanted to, needed to. Face what I've done. Face the consequences. Know the consequences. Do you? The younglings you killed. The Jedi you betrayed. The Order you destroyed. Know the weight of these actions? I do. Anakin's voice doesn't waver. I feel them every day. Every time I close my eyes, I see their faces, hear their screams, and I know that nothing I do will ever make up for it. But I have to try, for my children, for the galaxy, for myself. Yoda studies him for a long moment, the silence stretching until it becomes almost unbearable. Then, surprisingly, the ancient master nods. Changed. You have. Sense it. I do. The dark side no longer controls you, but scarred you are. Forever marked by what you have done. This scar, forget it, you cannot. Embrace it, you must. Let it teach you, guide you, remind you of what happens when fear controls us. Does that mean you forgive me? Forgiveness is not mine to give. Those you wronged, they are gone. Cannot speak for them, I can. But understand, I do. The Jedi Order, too rigid we became, too certain of our righteousness, forgot that the Force is balance, that suppressing half of what we are leads only to imbalance. Failed, we did. You and the Order, both. So, what happens now? What happens to the Jedi? Rebuild, we must, but differently. The old ways, dead they are. New ways we must find. Emotion and serenity, attachment and detachment, light and dark in balance. This is what the Chosen One was meant to teach us. What you must teach your children. Anakin feels the weight of those words settle on him. The Chosen One. He spent so much of his life running from that prophecy, resenting it, feeling crushed by its expectations. But maybe Yoda is right. Maybe his purpose wasn't to destroy the Sith through raw power. Maybe it was to destroy the rigid thinking that led to imbalance in the first place. By falling and then returning, by learning to balance light and dark within himself, he's shown that the Force is more complex than either the Jedi or Sith understood. I'll try, Master. I'll do my best to teach them what I've learned, to help them avoid my mistakes. Good. Yoda taps his cane against the ground. But one more thing. Tell you I must. A trial. There will be. The surviving Jedi. They deserve to confront you, to speak their pain, to seek justice. Ready for this? You must be. When? Soon. A gathering. We will arrange. On a neutral world. There you will face them. Face what you have done. Face the possibility that they will demand your life as payment. Anakin swallows hard. He knew this was coming, but hearing it stated so plainly makes it real. I understand, and I'll accept whatever judgment they render. Even if they demand execution, even then, Luke and Leia deserve better than a father who runs from consequences. If my death is the price of justice, I'll pay it. But I hope, I pray, that they'll give me the chance to make amends through life, rather than death. Yoda's ears twitch, a sign of approval. Brave you are. Foolish, perhaps, but brave. Very well. Prepare yourself, Skywalker. In 1 month, face your judgment you will. Until then, go to Alderaan. Be with your family. Treasure the time you have. For after the trial, who knows what the future holds? Anakin bows deeply, showing respect to the ancient master. Then, he rejoins Obi-Wan and Padme at the ship, and they make the journey to Alderaan. The planet is beautiful in a way that makes Anakin's chest ache. Rolling green hills, crystal lakes, mountain ranges that pierce the clouds. It's so different from Tatooine's endless desert or Coruscant's metal jungle. This is a world that values nature, that has found harmony between civilization and the environment. Bail and his wife Breha welcome them warmly, showing them to a private estate in the countryside, far from the capital city. It's isolated but comfortable, with gardens and forests and a small lake. A place where Luke and Leia can grow up in safety and peace. They settle into a routine. Anakin spends his days caring for the twins, teaching himself the patience that the Jedi never quite instilled in him. He learns that fatherhood isn't about grand gestures or heroic acts. It's about the small things. Changing diapers at 3 in the morning, rocking a crying baby for hours until they finally sleep, playing peekaboo and making silly faces and singing off-key lullabies. It's mundane and exhausting, and somehow the most important thing he's ever done. Padme struggles more than he does. She's been involved in politics since she was 14, helping to shape the destiny of worlds. Being forced to sit on the sidelines while the galaxy tears itself apart is torture for her. She monitors the news constantly, watching as Palpatine's empire fragments and various factions vie for power. She sees the suffering of people who need leadership and guidance, and it kills her that she can't help. But she made a choice. Her children's safety comes first, so she channels her energy into being a mother, into creating a home for her family, and tries not to think about the Senate chambers she'll never see again. The month passes quickly and slowly at the same time. Days blur together in a haze of feedings and diaper changes and precious moments of sleep. But underneath the domestic routine is a current of tension. The trial looms, an inevitable reckoning that Anakin can't escape. He tries not to think about it, tries to focus on the present, on Luke's first smile and Leia's fierce grip. But late at night, when the twins are finally asleep and Padme is resting, his mind turns to what's coming. Will the Jedi show mercy, or will they demand blood for blood? When the day finally arrives, Obi-Wan comes to collect him. The trial will be held on a remote moon, far from prying eyes. Only the surviving Jedi will attend, along with a few trusted allies like Bail Organa. Anakin says goodbye to Padme and the twins, holding them close and trying to memorize every detail, just in case. Luke seems to sense his father's distress and cries when Anakin tries to put him down. Leia watches with those knowing eyes, seeing more than an infant should. If I don't come back, Padme puts a finger to his lips. You will. You have to. They need you. I need you. So fight. Not with lightsabers or the Force. Fight with the truth. Show them who you are now, not who you were. He nods, not trusting himself to speak, and follows Obi-Wan to the ship. The journey is silent, both men lost in their own thoughts. When they arrive at the moon, Anakin sees perhaps 24 Jedi waiting, a pitiful remnant of an order that once numbered in the thousands. But each one is a survivor. Each one lost friends and masters and Padawans to Order 66. And each one has a right to their anger and grief and demand for justice. They gather in a clearing beneath ancient trees, forming a loose circle. Yoda sits at one end, his presence a stabilizing force. At the other end stands a Twi'lek Jedi named Shaak Ti. No, wait. Shaak Ti is dead. Anakin killed her himself. This is someone else, a master he recognizes but can't name. The realization that he's mixing up the living and the dead, that there are Jedi whose murders he can't even clearly remember, makes him sick to his stomach. How many did he kill? How much blood is on his hands? Anakin Skywalker. Yoda's voice cuts through the murmur of conversation. Come forward. He does, moving to the center of the circle. 24 pairs of eyes watch him, some angry, some grieving, some simply numb, accused of murder, betrayal, and the destruction of the Jedi Order you are. How plead you? Guilty. His voice is clear and steady. I'm guilty of all charges and more. I betrayed everything the Jedi stand for, murdered innocents, helped a Sith Lord destroy the Republic and seize power. There's no defense for what I've done, no excuse that makes it acceptable. I can only say that I was manipulated by Palpatine. But that manipulation doesn't erase my responsibility. I made the choice to kneel before him, to take the Sith name, to ignite my lightsaber in the temple. Those choices are mine. and I'll live with their consequences for the rest of my life. A Rodian Jedi speaks up, his voice sharp with pain. My Padawan was in the temple that night. She was 12 years old. She trusted you, looked up to you as a hero, and you cut her down like she was nothing. How do you answer for that? I can't. Anakin's voice breaks. I can't answer for it. Your Padawan deserved to live, deserved to become a Jedi Knight, to have a full life. And I took that from her, from all of them. Nothing I say will make that right. Nothing I do will bring them back. I can only say that I'm sorry, and I know sorry isn't enough. Another Jedi, a human woman with burn scars covering half her face, speaks next. I escaped the temple by pretending to be dead. I lay among the bodies of my friends for hours while clone troopers searched for survivors. I heard them talking about you, about Darth Vader, about how you killed Master Sindralig and his students. You were our hero, the chosen one, and you became our executioner. Why? Why did you do it? Anakin closes his eyes, forcing himself to remember, to face what he did rather than hiding from it. Fear. I was afraid of losing my wife. Palpatine showed me visions of her dying in childbirth, and I became so desperate to save her that I lost myself. He promised me the power to prevent death, promised that only through the dark side could I save her. And I believed him because I wanted to believe him, because I was already angry at the Council for not trusting me, already resentful of the rules that forced me to hide my marriage, already feeling like an outsider. Palpatine just pushed me in the direction I was already leaning. One by one, the Jedi speak. Each one shares their story of loss and survival. Each one confronts Anakin with the consequences of his actions. A Padawan who lost her master. A knight who watched his friends die. A master whose entire clan of younglings was slaughtered. Their pain is overwhelming. A tidal wave of grief and rage that crashes over Anakin again and again. He doesn't defend himself, doesn't try to minimize or excuse. He simply bears witness to their suffering, accepts it as his due. Hours pass. The sun moves across the sky, casting long shadows through the trees. Some of the Jedi call for his execution. Justice demands blood for blood, they argue. He killed Jedi. He should die as a Jedi. Others are more moderate, suggesting exile or imprisonment. A few, surprisingly, speak in his favor. They point out that he killed Palpatine, that he saved his children from falling to the dark side, that he's shown genuine remorse and commitment to redemption. Finally, when every Jedi has spoken, Yoda calls for silence. Heard all perspectives, we have. Now decide we must. What punishment fits these crimes? Death, exile, redemption through service? Vote, we will. Let the Force guide us. One by one, the Jedi vote. It's not unanimous. Some demand death, unwilling or unable to forgive what Anakin has done. But the majority, influenced by Yoda and Obi-Wan's testimony about Mustafar, choose a different path. Exile from the Jedi Order. He'll never be called Master, never be fully trusted, but he'll be allowed to live, to raise his children, to try to atone through actions rather than death. The verdict is exile. Yoda's voice carries across the clearing. From the Jedi Order, removed, you are. No longer may you call yourself Jedi. No longer may you wear our robes or carry our title, but live you may. Raise your children, teach them balance, help rebuild what was broken. This is your punishment and your redemption. Do you accept? I do. Anakin's voice is thick with emotion. Thank you for giving me this chance, for showing mercy I don't deserve. I swear, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of it. One condition more. A Jedi Knight steps forward, a Zabrak with kind eyes. You must tell your children the truth. When they're old enough to understand, you must tell them what you did, what you were. They deserve to know who their father truly is. Agreed. I won't hide my past from them. When they're ready, I'll tell them everything. The gathering disperses, and Anakin finds himself alone with Obi-Wan. His former master looks exhausted, emotionally drained by the proceedings. That was harder than fighting Palpatine. Seeing all that pain, knowing I caused it, but necessary. Obi-Wan places a hand on his shoulder. They needed to confront you, to speak their truth, and you needed to hear it, to really understand the full scope of what you did. This is just the beginning, Anakin. The real work of redemption starts now. They return to Alderaan, and Anakin throws himself into being the best father he can be. The years pass, and Luke and Leia grow. They're extraordinary children, bright and curious and powerful in the Force. Anakin trains them carefully, teaching them meditation and basic control. But he's cautious not to push too hard. They're still children. They deserve to be children, not weapons or tools or chosen ones. That can come later. He teaches them about balance, about acknowledging emotions without being controlled by them, about the dangers of both the Jedi's suppression and the Sith's indulgence. He's honest about his own failures, using them as cautionary tales. And slowly, painfully, he begins to forgive himself. Not completely. He'll never fully forgive what he did, but he learns to live with it, to accept that he's both the hero who saved the galaxy and the monster who nearly destroyed it. Padme finds purpose too. While she can't return to formal politics, she works behind the scenes, advising Bail on policy, writing anonymous essays about democracy and freedom that circulate through the resistance, helping coordinate efforts to undermine the Empire from within. She'll never sit in the Senate again, but she's still fighting for the galaxy she loves. Just from the shadows now, Obi-Wan visits regularly, becoming Uncle Ben to Luke and Leia. He's gentler than he was, less bound by protocol and procedure. The fall of the Order forced him to question everything he believed, and he's emerged more flexible, more willing to bend rules in service of the greater good. He and Anakin repair their relationship. Not perfectly, but enough. They'll never quite recapture what they had before, but they build something new, something deeper, forged in pain and loss and mutual understanding. When Luke and Leia are 5 years old, they ask the question Anakin has been dreading. "Daddy, were you a Jedi?" He looks at them, at these perfect, innocent beings who carry his legacy, and knows he can't lie. "Not about this. I was, once, but I made terrible mistakes. Did things I can never take back, and the Jedi Order expelled me because of those mistakes. What did you do?" Leia's question is direct, demanding truth. She's always been like that, cutting through evasion to the heart of matters. Anakin glances at Padme, who nods encouragingly. Then he sits down and tells them an age-appropriate version of the truth. He talks about being afraid of losing their mother, about making bad choices because of that fear, about hurting people who trusted him. He doesn't give them details, doesn't describe the temple or the younglings or the full horror of what he became. They're too young for that. But he's honest about the broad strokes, about falling to darkness and fighting his way back to light. The twins absorb this with the seriousness it deserves. Luke looks troubled, processing this revelation about his father. Leia is more direct. Do you still love us, even though we know you did bad things? More than anything, Anakin pulls them both into a hug. You two are the reason I came back. The reason I'm trying to be better. Nothing you learn about my past will ever change how much I love you. And I hope, when you're older and I tell you the full story, you'll understand. Maybe even forgive me. The Empire continues to fragment. Without Palpatine's iron grip holding it together, warlords and ambitious officers carve out their own territories. The galaxy descends into a period of chaos that historians will later call the Imperial Civil Wars. But from that chaos, resistance grows. Former Republic loyalists, Jedi survivors, planets that remember freedom. They band together, slowly building a coalition that will eventually become the New Republic. Anakin and his family stay out of it, maintaining their exile on Alderaan. But they support the resistance in quiet ways. Funding, intelligence, occasional missions when the need is dire and only someone with Anakin's particular skills can help. Luke and Leia grow into remarkable young people. Luke is compassionate and thoughtful, drawn to healing and diplomacy. He studies the Force with Obi-Wan, learning the patient, defensive techniques of Soresu. Leia is fierce and political, studying law and government with Bail Organa while training in the more aggressive Xian form with Anakin. They're different but complementary, and the bond between them is unbreakable. When they're 10, Anakin tells them the full truth. They're old enough now to understand, to process the horror of what he did. He takes them to a quiet place and speaks honestly about the temple, about the younglings, about Order 66 and Palpatine and becoming Darth Vader. He doesn't spare himself or make excuses, just lays out the facts and waits for their judgment. Luke cries, overwhelmed by the magnitude of his father's crimes. Leia is angry, her face flushed with rage at the injustice of what happened, but neither of them stops loving him. They're hurt and confused and processing trauma they shouldn't have to deal with at 10 years old. But they're also his children, and they've seen him work every day to be better. That counts for something. Over time, they come to terms with it. Luke decides he wants to be a Jedi, to honor those, his father, killed by embodying what they stood for. Leia chooses a different path, deciding that politics is where she can make the most difference. She'll fight with words and laws, not lightsabers. Both paths are valid. Both are necessary. And Anakin supports them both, giving them the freedom to choose their own destinies rather than having it chosen for them. The years continue to pass. The resistance grows stronger, slowly pushing back the Imperial remnants. New Jedi emerge, trained by Obi-Wan and Yoda and the other survivors. They're not the old order. They've learned from past mistakes. This new generation is more balanced, more accepting of attachment and emotion. They're warrior poets who understand that the Force is more complex than simple light and dark. And at the center of this new philosophy is the teaching that Anakin developed. That balance comes not from suppressing half of what you are, but from acknowledging all of it and choosing, moment by moment, to act with wisdom rather than impulse. When Luke is 16, he undergoes his trial. Not in a temple. There are no temples anymore, but in the forests of Dagobah, under Yoda's watchful eye. He faces his fears, his doubts, his potential for darkness. And he emerges stronger, more grounded, ready to take his place as a Jedi Knight. The ceremony is small, just family and a few close friends. But it's meaningful. Luke kneels before Yoda, and the ancient master taps his shoulders with a lightsaber, conferring the rank that Anakin was denied. Knight, you are now Luke Skywalker. Serve the Force, you will. Bring balance, you must. But also, live, love. Be more than just a Jedi. Be a whole person. This is the lesson your father learned. This is the teaching of the new order. Luke stands, tears streaming down his face, and Anakin embraces him. He's so proud he can barely speak. His son, a Jedi Knight. His son, embodying everything good about the Order while leaving behind its rigidity. This is redemption. Not perfect, not complete, but real. Leia's path is different but equally important. At 18, she's elected to Alderaan's Planetary Council, the youngest person to ever hold that position. She's brilliant and passionate, fighting for justice and equality with the same intensity her mother once brought to the Senate. Bail becomes her mentor, teaching her the intricacies of politics and diplomacy. And she's good at it. Better than good. She's a natural leader who inspires people to be better, to fight harder, to believe that change is possible. The New Republic is officially founded when Luke and Leia are 20. It's not a restoration of the old Republic, but something new. Something that's learned from the mistakes of the past. There's better oversight, more transparency, stronger protections for individual rights. Padme is asked to serve in the new Senate, and after discussing it with her family, she accepts. She'll operate publicly now, no longer hiding in the shadows. And if people recognize her, if they realize that Senator Amidala didn't actually die 20 years ago, well, that's a story that needs to be told. Leia joins her mother in the Senate, representing Alderaan. The two of them become a formidable team, pushing for reforms and fighting against corruption. They're not always successful. Politics is still politics, full of compromise and frustration. But they make a difference. Slowly but surely, they help build a galaxy that's more just, more free than the one they left behind. Luke becomes one of the founders of the new Jedi Order. He and Obi-Wan and a few other masters establish a training program that's more flexible than the old one. Students are allowed attachments, allowed emotions, but taught to manage them wisely. The focus is on balance, on being whole. People who happen to have Force abilities, rather than monks who've cut themselves off from life. It's controversial. And there are arguments about whether they're honoring the Jedi legacy. or betraying it. But Luke stands firm. This is the path forward. This is what his father's fall taught them. Anakin watches all of this with pride and pain intermingled. His children are changing the galaxy in ways he never could. They're building the future he dreamed of, but thought impossible. And they're doing it not in spite of his failures, but because of them. His fall showed them what not to do. His redemption showed them that change is always possible. In a strange way, his greatest crime led to his greatest contribution. He's not sure how he feels about that. The guilt is still there, always will be. But so is hope. Hope that the galaxy his grandchildren inherit will be better than the one he nearly destroyed. When Luke is 25, he meets someone. A woman named Mara, a former Imperial agent who defected to the New Republic. She's fierce and damaged and perfect for him. They fall in love. And when Luke asks Anakin for advice about attachment, about balancing love and duty, Anakin laughs. I'm probably the worst person to ask. My attachment to your mother led me to destroy the Jedi Order. But also, that attachment brought me back from the dark side. So maybe the lesson is that love isn't the problem. It's fear of losing love. Trust in the Force. Trust in each other. And don't let fear make your decisions. Leia finds love too, with a smuggler-turned-resistance fighter named Han Solo. He's cocky and irreverent and drives her crazy, but they balance each other perfectly. When Han asks Anakin's permission to marry Leia, it's one of the strangest conversations of Anakin's life. I'm not exactly the galaxy's best role model for marriage. I hid my relationship from everyone, betrayed everything for my wife, and nearly lost her in the process. But if you love Leia, if you're willing to stand beside her through whatever comes, then you have my blessing. Just promise me you'll be better than I was. The weddings are beautiful. Luke and Mara marry in a simple ceremony on Dagobah, surrounded by Jedi and the Force itself. Leia and Han have a grand state wedding on Alderaan, complete with diplomats and dignitaries, and all the pomp Leia usually disdains but knows is necessary for political reasons. Anakin stands beside Padme at both ceremonies, watching their children begin their own families, and feels something close to peace. Not complete peace. The faces of the younglings still haunt him. The weight of his crimes still presses down on him. But peace nonetheless. The peace of knowing he's done something right. That despite everything, his children have become good people who are making the galaxy better. Grandchildren arrive. Luke and Mara have twins. A boy and a girl who are strong in the Force. Leia and Han have 3 children, all of them Force-sensitive to varying degrees. Anakin is amazed by them, these small beings who carry his legacy forward. He teaches them the lessons he learned, shows them how to meditate and feel the Force, tells them stories about the old Jedi Order and the Clone Wars and the mistakes he made. They listen with wide eyes, not quite understanding the full weight of what he's telling them, but absorbing it nonetheless. One day, his oldest grandchild, Luke's son Ben, asks him a question. "Grandpa, are you a hero or a villain?" Anakin considers this carefully. He's asked himself the same question countless times. Both. I'm both. I did terrible things, hurt innocent people, nearly destroyed the galaxy. But I also came back from darkness, stopped an evil man, helped my children become heroes. I don't think people are simply one or the other. We're all capable of good and evil. The important thing is what we choose, moment by moment, day by day. As Anakin ages, he sees the galaxy he almost destroyed healing. It's not perfect. It never will be. There's still conflict, still suffering, still people who choose darkness over light. But there's also hope. There are Jedi who understand balance, politicians who fight for justice, citizens who believe in a better future. And his family is at the center of it all, carrying forward the lessons learned from his fall and redemption. When Anakin is in his 60s, Yoda passes away. The ancient master had lived for nearly 900 years, and when the Force finally claims him, it's peaceful. He simply sits down to meditate one day and never opens his eyes. The Jedi gather to honor him, and Anakin speaks at the funeral. Master Yoda taught me many things: patience, which I was terrible at; wisdom, which I ignored more often than I should have; and balance, which I didn't understand until it was almost too late. He never gave up on me, even when I gave him every reason to. He showed me that redemption is possible, that the Force is more complex than I imagined, and that the greatest strength is admitting your weaknesses. I'll miss him. The galaxy will miss him. But his teachings live on in every Jedi who strives for balance. Obi-Wan lives longer, making it into his 70s before age and old injuries catch up with him. Anakin is with him at the end, holding his hand as his oldest friend slips away. Thank you. Anakin's voice is choked with emotion. For everything. For training me. For believing in me when no one else did. For being my brother. I don't know where I'd be without you. Probably exactly where you should be. Obi-Wan's smile is weak but genuine. You always had the potential for greatness, Anakin. You just needed to find your own path to it. I'm proud of you, proud of what you've become. Tell Luke and Leia, I love them, that they're the best thing you ever did. When Padme dies, peacefully, in her sleep, at the age of 78, Anakin feels like part of his soul has been ripped away. She was his anchor, his reason for coming back from darkness. Without her, he's adrift. But he has his children and grandchildren, and they gather around him, supporting him through his grief. They share stories about Padme, her strength, her compassion, the way she fought for justice even when it cost her everything. Anakin listens and remembers, and slowly, the pain becomes bearable. He lives for another decade, watching his grandchildren grow and his great-grandchildren be born. He teaches them all about the Force and balance and the importance of choice. He tells them stories about the old days, the Clone Wars, the fall of the Republic, the rise and fall of the Empire. He doesn't hide the dark parts or make himself a hero. He's honest about his failures and his crimes, but he also shows them that people can change, that redemption is possible, that the worst thing you've ever done doesn't have to define you forever. When Anakin Skywalker dies at the age of 75, surrounded by family, he goes peacefully. His last thoughts are of Padme waiting for him, of Obi-Wan and Yoda and all those he loved who went before him, but also of Luke and Leia, of his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, of the legacy he's leaving behind. It's not the legacy he imagined as a young Jedi Knight. It's better, more complex. more real. He was a hero and a monster, a savior and a destroyer, the chosen one and the fallen one. But most importantly, he was a father. And in the end, that's what saved him. His funeral is attended by thousands, Jedi and politicians, friends and family, people whose lives he touched in ways large and small. Luke speaks, his voice steady despite his tears. My father made terrible mistakes. He fell to the darkness and did things that can never be forgiven. But he also climbed back. He showed us that people can change, that love is stronger than fear. That balance is possible even for those who have touched the deepest darkness. He wasn't perfect, but he tried. Every day of his life after Mustafar, he tried to be better, to do better. And that effort, that constant struggle toward the light, that's what I'll remember. That's the lesson he leaves behind. Leia speaks too, her voice fierce with emotion. My father was a complicated man, a hero and a villain, a Jedi and a Sith, a monster and a savior. But to me, he was just Dad, the man who taught me to use the Force, who listened to my problems and gave me advice, who showed me that strength comes in many forms. He made mistakes, terrible ones, but he also made the galaxy better. Not through grand gestures or epic battles, though he did those too, but through the small daily choice to be present, to love, to try. That's his real legacy. Not Darth Vader or the Chosen One or any other title. Just a father who did his best. They lay him to rest on Alderaan, in the garden behind the house where he raised his children. The headstone is simple. Anakin Skywalker, husband, father, seeker of balance. No mention of his crimes or his redemption. No grand statements or lofty proclamations. Just the facts of what mattered most. The galaxy he leaves behind is imperfect, but hopeful. The Jedi Order he helped reshape is different from the one he destroyed. More balanced, more human. His children and grandchildren carry forward his teachings, spreading the message of balance and redemption to new generations. And somewhere, in the cosmic force, Anakin Skywalker is reunited with those he loved and lost. Padme embraces him, and all the years of pain and separation fall away. Obi-Wan is there too, smiling that sardonic smile that Anakin both loved and found infuriating. Yoda, Qui-Gon, his mother Shmi, even Ahsoka, who he learns survived Order 66 and lived a long, full life before joining them in the Force. They welcome him home, not with condemnation for his crimes, but with understanding, with forgiveness, with love. Did I do enough? Anakin asks them. Did I make up for what I did? You brought balance to the Force. Qui-Gon's voice is warm, not the way the prophecy expected. Not through power or strength or destroying the Sith with violence, but by learning balance within yourself, by teaching that lesson to your children, by showing the galaxy that redemption is possible. You did enough. Anakin, more than enough. And so Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, the fallen Jedi, the redeemed father, finds peace at last. His story, with all its tragedy and triumph, becomes a lesson for future generations. A reminder that the Force is balance, that people are complex, that love can save and destroy, that the darkest night can give way to dawn. That redemption is always possible for those willing to fight for it. That the greatest power isn't the ability to destroy, but the courage to change. And that in the end, what matters most isn't the grand prophecies or cosmic destinies, but the small, daily choice to be present for those you love, to try to be better, to bring light into darkness, one moment at a time. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.